All right, well, our last segment of this episode to celebrate 300 subs, which I hope by the time we post this, we're at 400 subs and we're just like
Ooh,
behind.
yes.
Um,
That sounds
yes,
great.
reminder to subscribe again, please. We're not that annoying.
I am.
We wanted to celebrate like 100 subs and we wanted to celebrate 200 subs and we just kind of got behind, but here we are
The
on
off season
300
has been way
subs.
busier than I thought it would be,
Yeah,
basically.
there's so many angles you can take with
Yeah.
it. So it's been awesome doing the off season. So thanks to everyone who's been listening and like subscribing and liking the videos. It means a ton to us, and we love talking to you. So for this like really weird segment, because what's in a game comes from Romeo and Juliet. What's in a name said by
Yes.
Juliet William Shakespeare. We do
It
love
was
like
Juliet, wasn't it?
medieval things. We love
We love fantasy and
fantasy and
like,
plays. Like we just went to a show
yeah.
today. We're gonna combine a weird segment where we're gonna take the Nuggets starting lineup and try to come up with a character from the Game of Thrones universe
Universe. Yeah.
and match them to like their equivalent
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
If you've not seen Game of Thrones,
Or House of the Dragon
or
up until season 2, episode 4.
which is literally all the episodes that are out,
Yes.
then there might be some spoilers. So watch the show, then come back and look at this
Yeah.
because you don't want to miss this segment.
And we'll put that at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
Okay. So for Jokic, I went with Jon Snow because
Oh,
he is that strong, silent type, reluctant hero, but he's the chosen one. The
right.
prince that was promised ish, even though he's not the one that kills the White Walkers. He has to slay the beasts, and he just like has to go through all this like terrible stuff. And Jokic has seen like teammates go down, and he's got these like really humble beginnings and all of that. Like, obviously, John turns out to be a Targaryen. For all we know, Jokic is a Targaryen, and that's why he's so awesome at
Jokic is a
basketball,
Targaryen.
right? I saw him spitting fire in that game against Wemby. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
it really was a flamethrower.
So if he's not a Targaryen, he's definitely a dragon. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Jon Snow. I just think it's the best character, like personality match and the story. Who is Jokic for you?
I guess just to be different, I'm gonna get cooked in this one, but
Oh my gosh.
I'll go. That's a very good answer, but I don't want to say the same just because it's not as fun. I'm gonna go with Arya actually,
Oh,
because
interesting.
Arya was painted in a role from the beginning as a young lady. She never wanted to be a proper lady. She didn't want to be the role
Yeah,
that everyone was prescribing for her.
totally fair.
She went away, got some sick training, came back, and was the MVP and did kill the White Walker.
That's true. So we're both choosing the prince that was promised,
Yeah.
arguably.
Yeah, we are. We just don't know what
Yeah.
happened with that
Yeah. We just
necessarily.
know that they're the heroes.
So I'll go Arya. I know it's like a weird comparison, but like,
Yeah. Okay. So next, let's do AG, who
okay.
I think is pretty tough because he's so good. Like to me, like AG's defining character trait is that he's just so fundamentally good and you just want the best for him. But there are so few characters in the Game of Thrones universe for which that is true without them being somebody that just dies early.
Yeah, that's true.
um,
Oh man,
so this was tough for me.
trying to
But do
think.
you want to go first?
No,
No? Okay.
I'll go first on the next one.
So maybe this is like terrible, but I went with Ghost. That
Whoa,
is Jon
whoa.
Snow's direwolf. Ghost makes it to the end of the story and is incredibly strong, loyal, basically Jon's right hand wolf. And that is to me what AG is for Jokic. And I love animals, so I also want the best for Ghost, just like I want the best for AG.
I mean, it's appropriate to pick a wolf when like, he has the whole
He has
the
that
locker
dog in
room
him.
barks for him to,
Yeah, because of
he's
the
a
dog
dog.
biting
He did
situation.
get bit by a dog, so he's
Yeah,
kind of like werewolf. You know what I'm gonna do for
I
AG?
will say.
I'm gonna say Braun.
Oh,
Bronn.
yeah.
Because
Huh.
he's like
Yeah.
Tyrion and like Jamie's right hand man, like when they need some like shit done, the trash man,
Yeah.
go and like assassinate the dude that you need to be taken out, and he's just like super skilled and like not afraid of anyone. He's just like he's dropping 50s
Yeah.
throughout Game of Thrones with lines and battles and stuff. He shot a dragon with a air like a the bolt. That was
But
sick.
he's also like when you talk to him, he's like just a very like nice conversational
Yeah, sure.
guy too.
I'll take that
No,
comparison.
like I thought that's where you were going with this. Like, yeah, he's like the trash man, dirty work, like does all this
But
like
he's, like,
badass
classy.
shit, but he's also classy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Well, it's like AG's role on the Nuggets. He's called himself the
Exactly.
garbage man, so that's where I was going
That's
with
true.
that. Yeah.
That's true. This is the toughest one. This was the toughest one for me. Was Jamal.
Like I feel like you said John is Jokic. Maybe I could say John is Jamal, or Jamal is John.
Oh, interesting. What's the argument there?
Like
Is it just doing push-ups in the snow?
you know, yeah. Ned Stark was training him. Catelyn Stark never really accepted him.
But who
I
is it
don't
that
know.
didn't accept Jamal?
Well, I'm just imagining his dad like putting him through these like rough little like exercises, and I mean I know it was all out of love and all that stuff, but and then Jamal's still like in the midst of discovering his like purpose, you know what I mean? And like John was always unsure of what his identity was,
Yeah.
and Jamal's like trying to become that like consistent player, and like you know he's been beyond the wall and won the championship, but
True.
what is his true like? Where's his real home at?
And like John was like basically supposed to die, years
Yeah,
ago. The
he came back
ACL would
to
have
life.
been
John comes back to
like
life.
career ending, but he came back and John comes back to life. Does Jamal have plot armor? That'd be awesome.
I hope he does. I mean,
I hope Jamal has some plot
he did
armor.
tear his ACL, so
Yeah,
that's
but
not
like
great
he
plot
came
armor.
back from that.
Yeah,
That's the point. He came back from it.
he's from the north.
Yeah,
He's from
that's
Canada.
true. He is from the north.
Never made an All-Star game. Not a true Stark.
Yeah, true. Or like a true Targaryen because he wasn't like raised with the rest of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that's who I'm gonna go with, I guess. All right, what are you going with?
Okay, so for me, I had to go with Sansa Stark. Now,
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of a strange comparison because when Sansa starts off her tale, she's this like very girly girl. She wants to live out basically the princess fairy tale, marry the prince, do all of the proper things to like help the family. She's very critical of Arya and all of that.
Right.
But when we get into late Sansa, she's gone through so much just shit that she has this like no bullshit, like you don't want to mess with me because I'm ready to get into the political mud to achieve my ends. And the same energy that Jamal brings to a basketball game for the Nuggets is the energy that Sansa had when she fed Ramsay Bolton to his dogs.
Oh my god.
Like in that situation, Jamal is both the dogs and Sansa.
Like when the Wolves were booing him and he had that amazing game against them on
true.
one calf.
That's true. I was like, is this what they're doing today? Like, we got this.
Sansa's just like waiting to get a revenge, basically.
Yeah, she's like ultimate like revenge fantasy type character when you think, especially with like the Ramsay stuff, because like I think that's such a great revenge fantasy arc. Because
Yeah.
Ramsay's just like one of the most vile TV characters that's ever lived. Not just because of like his individual actions, but everything that he sets into motion, and his intent is just like pure shittiness.
Yeah.
Like he's got like one of the blackest hearts of any character that I've
I know.
ever like witnessed. And usually that's a bad thing, but I like how he was written, even though he's literally just like all bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts out, they're like, oh, he's just like this because he's a bastard. But then you contrast him to Jon Snow, and it's
Who's
like,
a
no,
good
that's
bastard.
not really an excuse to be like the worst, one of the worst characters in like all of television history. But anyway, Sansa gets to have her revenge, and by the end of the show, she's, playing all of the Machiavellian games. Nobody wants to mess with her. She doesn't have that same like sweet, soft disposition anymore. You're not going to walk all over her. And for better or worse, nobody wants to mess with her. Yeah. And that's kind of Jamal too.
That's a good point. So who's
So
we got
next
next?
is MPJ.
Right.
And yeah, you go first.
I'll
for
go
this one, too.
first since you went first on the other two. I haven't done a House of the Dragon character yet, so I'm gonna go with Daemon Targaryen for MPJ because
Interesting.
They're both really skilled. And Damon is like an up and down character where he has his moments,
That's true.
but he kind of can get into trouble with things that he says. So MPJ has done that, obviously.
But Damon gets in trouble with things that he says on purpose. Like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
trying to get into trouble. I don't think MPJ is thinking about it that hard.
Yeah, MPJ actually is kind of like a good little golden boy in some senses, where he says some
Yeah.
stuff, but he's kind of sweet. You can't help
Yeah.
but kind of, you know.
Well, I think you were talking about like when Damon takes the crab eater.
Yeah, yeah. So he storms the beach and takes on the crab eater alone. And I was thinking that was like the Lakers series because he was like, people were saying he was maybe our best player in that series, and LeBron called him a laser
think he
on Mind the
was.
Game podcast.
And it was like a one-man show almost. Well, you don't expect Damon to just like charge in there with his dragon. And I didn't expect to have a playoff series where MPJ like literally saves us because like no one could shoot.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, you have that MPJ was like a top prospect once, and he was.
and
Damon was
Damon
in
would
line
have
to
been the heir
Yeah.
if Viserys hadn't, well, one
Chosen-
remarried, had another child, and then chosen Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Instead.
So it was almost like he could have been king, he could have been at the top, but then he had to just accept his role
And
for what he was.
But unlike MPJ, Damon's actually struggling to like fully accept his role right
That's
now,
true.
right?
And MPJ's pretty much embraced
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So
I
that's
think
not
that
perfect.
people,
but
I think people don't appreciate MPJ enough.
that's true.
That's what this comparison is.
And
telling
maybe
me.
fans don't appreciate Damon enough.
I don't know. I think fans appreciate.
He's
Damon
pretty
plenty.
well liked.
Okay, so my MPJ comparison is actually not that nice, despite my thinking that he's underappreciated. I went with Oberyn Martell,
Oh yes, yes.
and it's because he is, like Damon, incredibly skilled, such a good
Yeah.
fighter. But when he faces someone bigger and badder and he fucks around a little bit, he just can't. You can't beat that level of physicality.
He's risen to the occasion.
And like Martell, I want MPJ to like live to the end of the story. And Martell did not, but I wanted him to. I really liked his character. I thought
like-
he was so like cool and flashy and skilled. And you could see like, oh, this would be really, and you know, just like every character that seems like interesting, that you nice and cool that you'd want to have around in Game of Thrones, they killed them off.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the case.
I like
for
that you're
MPJ.
making the comparison, but then like wanting their stories to like change. You're
Yeah.
like rewriting Game of Thrones history.
Yeah. Because why
Which is
not?
cool. Yeah, I was thinking about choosing him for MPJ too because I was trying to think of like a younger, like skilled person,
That's right.
and
That's right.
he's skilled.
Because
And
you told me that you wanted to do Oberyn Martell, and I was like, what? Wait, I want that one. And I didn't know what your answer was going to be, but the skilled nature of his abilities and his talent and his gifts, it's like hard to not make the comparison to MPJ.
that's a good one.
All right, so I will go first for our fifth and final starter, which is Christian Brown. Mike Malone has made comments about like, oh, the fifth starter slot is not set and people will be competing, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be Christian Brown. It's going to be Christian Brown for the vast majority of the season, if not the entire season. And for me, Jace Velaryon is the guy.
Whoa.
I finally get to my House of the Dragons character.
So this is the oldest son of Rhaenyra. Okay,
That's
yeah.
correct. Jace is currently in a role where he is sort of this like strong silent type as the oldest son. He has this like really important role for Team Black, right? He's the heir, he's Rhaenyra's heir, and he's also got a dragon. He's going to be presumably one of the important fighters in this war because he has a dragon. But he's also been pretty like relatively restrained to this point in terms of like his input. And with him, the comparison to Christian comes more in what I think Jace is going to be doing next, which is being more vocal and being more involved in like maybe criticizing some of Rhaenyra's moves. Like
Yeah.
we saw like last week, he was already ready to, you know, speak out of turn a little bit to criticize Rhaenyra for basically being gone for
He had
however
an
much time.
attitude in that scene.
He totally did. And I kind of want that from Christian because I want him to be like vocal on defense and like calling his teammates out and all of that. But you can tell that both of them are or character that really want to play their role and be like the dutiful son or the dutiful role player right now, but they're both so important to the teams around them that they're going to have to start like making tougher decisions and being more, I think, assertive.
And they're both being like trained and like they're on the younger side. And yeah, that's a
And
good one too.
fight.
And imagine Christian with Jace's hair.
Oh my gosh.
Like
Is
the
that
season 2 hair that's like long and curly.
I don't
wavy.
think I think that's a bad basketball aura. I love that hair on Jace, but I don't think it's ideal for NBA basketball.
Okay, well, my character for CB has very short hair because I picked Gendry
Oh,
Baratheon, who is a normal guy, like just a blacksmith character at the beginning who helps Arya. He's good natured, and but it ends up that he's related to the king, and not that he will rise up and like actually get the throne because there's too many like obstacles in the way. He's not powerful enough, and he's still the bastard. But he kind of like all of a sudden quickly gets his, put into this tough position, let's say, where people are like hunting him because he's related. He's the bastard, and Joffrey's trying to kill all the bastards. And now it's like he is going into the starting role, and I hope he's not going to be like the punching bag, Joffrey going after the bastards, so that there's no more like
is Joffrey the fan base?
Joffrey is the fan base.
I don't want Christian to be the punching bag either. No, I can see that too. Hopefully, like I thought Gendry like pretty much rose to the occasion there.
Yeah, he does.
And I hope Christian does the same thing. I think Gendry has a little bit more like fire to him even at the beginning. Like he's very like self-assured. And I don't think that Christian isn't that, but I think that like certain moments come out where you're like, okay, you look a lot less confident than I think you should be in this situation.
Yeah.
Given your like abilities.
Yeah, I think it's just like he's the quintessential, well, I don't know. I'm hoping he's the quintessential role player, that he gives us what we need, but he has like king's blood, He could be special, some like
because
it
he's
factor.
got all that championship pedigree.
Yeah, he's got
That's
like,
the king's
he's got
blood.
all the gold around him,
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good
He
point.
took the loss the hardest in Game 7, at least outwardly. This is the reports from the locker room. And I'm going to bring that up every chance we get because I do think it's noteworthy that somebody who's so used to winning took it so so hard when they lost, when, presumably the players in that locker room don't think they should have lost that series.
Yeah. And Vogt talked about on your episode that you were on with them about how he wasn't getting back to his brother after the loss for like multiple days.
Yeah,
Just kind of
Parker
sad,
said.
Yeah.
You guys should check out that episode of DNVR.
Yes. If you like what's in a game, you have to. It's your obligation.
Your duty.
Yes.
Well, this was really fun. Well, I have been very, I'm very pleased that we have over 300 subscribers to this show. I am excited to keep growing it. I definitely never expected to be in this position like 6 months ago when, before you
we even started.
before you asked me to start this podcast with you. It's been incredibly fun. The community has been awesome, and I'm just excited to just like keep growing with the fan base and following this team and following, other aspects of the NBA too. And we're going to get to, keep doing that as the summer progresses as well.
Yeah. Honestly, thank you to every subscriber, to anyone who's taken the time to just hit the subscribe button and let our videos come into your feed. It means the world to Grace and I. We just love being in the Nuggets community and NBA community and anyone who wants to talk about it. And so we love talking with you. Thank you so much.
So a couple programming notes. We're going to be, putting out segments and drips next week, but we're taking next full week off for travel, so we won't have an episode until right before the Olympics. We're going to have Vojislav Medic on to talk about an Olympic preview. We're also going to use that time to review the rest of Summer League, so we'll talk about maybe some improvements that we saw from the guys that struggled a little bit at the beginning of Summer League, and see who decides to step up to fill the shoes of Duran, who unfortunately had to go out. Really excited for that pre-Olympic episode for sure, and I'm excited for the rest of our off-season content as well. But in the meantime, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell, like Will said, anything to make sure our videos make it to your feeds. Share it with your family, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies. Tell them to like hit the like button and not the dislike button. All of
Yes.
those things. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Amazon Music, anywhere you get your podcasts. And hang out with Will is fun too.
Yeah, in person
To
episode.
my surprise.
Who knows what the next time we'll be in person, but you know,
Yeah.
you never know.
We don't know.
But honestly, it's easier almost doing whatever. They don't need to know the background.
They don't need to know all the words we're allowed to do to set this up.
Yes.
Yeah, but I really appreciate
But it was awesome.
And always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks.